Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the executive session. Good morning. I'm First Sergeant Scotty from the Public Information Center. I'd like to welcome all of you here for the promotion ceremonies. I'd like to ask Chaplain Dodd to lead us in the invocation, and please remain standing and Sergeant Rick Reed will conduct the pledge of allegiance first. Chaplain Dodd.
Please stand. Heavenly Father, we gather this morning in the sacred chamber. We do so being mindful of all the blessings of our lives. We're especially thankful for the special days we gather together in celebration of the accomplishments of these men and women who are being promoted and receiving special recognition for their work. We're thankful for the dedication and service these men and women have given to the Indiana State Police and to the citizens of the state. We ask that you continue to bless and watch over these men and women as they respond to the call of service which we lay before them. May they continue to serve the people of the state with integrity and professionalism through their lives, through their respective positions on this department. Lord, we ask you that you bless Superintendent Caraway and guide him and his staff as they continue to work to make this department the very best that it can be. May your presence be here with us today as we honor these special servants of the state of Indiana. For we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce you to Superintendent Caraway.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone can hear me. It's nice to see you all here today. I think this is maybe our second one that we've had actually this year, so it's really nice to see you all here today. Let me introduce to you the executive staff before we get started. Colonel Brackman, Assistant Superintendent, Lieutenant Colonel Delaney, Lieutenant Colonel Johnson, you met Chaplain Dodd, and Les Miller, Special Counsel. Not with us today is Lieutenant Colonel Petrie, who's a bit under the weather, but we hope to have him back real soon today too. For those of you who are not familiar with the Indiana State Police or in such a way that you know all our commanders, we have quite a few that are standing around the wall here today too, so I'm very happy and over on the side here, and Terry, our main man, who are all here today too, so I'm glad to see you all here as well. We try to do things a little bit differently on our promotion ceremonies, and that's why we're holding it here in the chambers. We thought it was an opportunity to recognize the men and women who worked so hard for promotion in a very special way, and that's why we do the presentation here in the Supreme Court chamber. The other thing that we like to stress, obviously, by having all of you here is that the Indiana State Police is a family institution, and that for these types of ceremonies, we want to make certain that all of you are involved as well. So we're very happy that you're all here to share with us these special moments. And then finally, the other thing is it gives me an opportunity to talk about things that have been on my mind lately. As you can imagine, sitting in the office, and the telephone ring, you don't very seldom get opportunities to really think about issues that matter to you in your heart. But so I really take pride in these opportunities to get a chance to talk, and hopefully in some way I help the men and women who are being promoted today to deal with their new responsibility and their jobs. So I try to make certain that what I talk about deals with your leadership responsibilities, and hopefully in some way for those in the audience get a bit of a sense of growth out of it too. What I'm going to do in these next couple of promotion ceremonies is to deal with several issues. The first one I'm going to deal with today is about focus. All these things combined are going to talk about leadership and our responsibility in the technology age in dealing with these issues. But the first one I wanted to talk about is focus. You know, how many times have you been in your car, driving down the road, radio on, bright sunny day outside, you're driving along and you're trying to get to work there, and before you know it, you're at work and you can't remember the cars that you passed, the songs that were even on the radio. You probably remember that cup of coffee or juice or that breakfast you had, but that distance from home to work sort of like went by in a blur. How many times have you been sitting at home, dads, husbands, watching that football, that basketball game, your son or daughter, or if you dare, even your wife, has asked you a question and it went by in a blur. You may even answer, you may have even heard them, but what you said, you don't even recall. Has that happened? Has that happened to, I'm certain it's happened. It's happened to me quite often as well. I think what happens with that is about focus. We can be so absorbed in issues, in getting to work, watching that game, just doing whatever it is we want to do, that everything else is channeled out. Now, we do this all the time in some sort of subconscious way, but I think there's a basis for it, and I hope that I can be able to see how this applies to what we do as law enforcement officers or as individuals every day. For those things that matter to us the most, we focus in the most. Have you been in these conversations with individuals, and they're giving you this wonderful presentation? I'm guilty of this. These wonderful presentations that they're doing, but you are off somewhere else. And in fact, in some cases, you're either finishing their sentences or just hoping that this concludes because you've got something else that you want to do. Let's have a little bit of experiment. I'll show you how this works. Envision yourself on a sandy beach. The sun is shining, the waves are rushing in, everything is fantastic. Now what I want you to do, while you're thinking about this sandy beach, is try to think about something else. The waves are coming in, the sun is shining. You can't think of any place else that you'd rather be than on this sandy beach. Now you really try to think about something else. The wind is gently blowing. A long stroll, someone that just catches your eye. It's hard to do, isn't it? You know, try to think of something else other than what you really want. We do this each and every day. In most cases, it's a hindrance to us. Because in my job and my responsibility to the citizens of the state, to those individuals that you're going to hopefully supervise as new leaders, as new supervisors and directors for this agency, we do it all the time. When we want to focus on something that matters to us, it's as sharp as a knife. Nothing can steer us from it whatsoever. You see? When we have that goal to get to work, nothing can impede our path to get us there. When we're watching that football game or listening to the news or whatever it is, if it's what we want to do, we channel in on it so sharply that nothing can steer us away from it whatsoever. You know, our eyesight, actually, I think we can see about 180 degrees. But sometimes we get so focused in on one thing, everything else could be happening around us, behind us, but what we want to see is in front of us, that's all we'll give account to. And we do that in our lives all the time. In some cases, we lose what's happening around us because we're so focused in on one thing. Now, this is a good and evil thing, a bad and better type of thing. Because there are some instances where we want to be as sharp as we want, to focus in on one thing and one thing only. If that is the case, then we all should be very, very successful in what we do. Would you agree? If we focus in on one thing and one thing only because that is what we want, we ought to be successful in what we do. But there's so many other distractions. And that's what happens to us as leaders in our job. We get so focused on that distraction or that obstacle, and it keeps us from being successful. We'll waste so much of our time being focused in on the obstacle rather than the thing that we desire, the success, that we miss our success. Now, all of the commanders in this room certainly can testify to what I'm saying. There are so many times that we come across things that we know that will help our agency be the very best that it can be. But we'll focus in on that obstacle that won't let us meet the success that we're supposed to be. That's collectively as an agency. But we also do it as individuals. I can remember Cody and I are cousins, in case you don't remember it. He had he and his brother had this bicycle, and I had to go over to their house to learn how to ride a bicycle. I didn't have my own. And we're outside behind, we lived, there's an alley behind the yard, and there was a lumber yard on the other side. What I was so afraid of in learning how to ride that bike, that I was going to run into this lumber that was on the other side of the alley, instead of focusing on trying to learn to ride the bicycle. It's sort of a simple illustration, but it's really the epitome of what we do every day as individuals in dealing with one another and dealing with what our fears are and our obstacles. We get so focused on those obstacles that we don't see the success that needs to move us forward. What I'm telling you is that our focus is so important in our lives that what we need to focus on is not the obstacle, not those things that get in our way, but those things that we want to do to make us a success. So how do we do it? How do we get there? How do we find those things that are the success issues? Well, there's a problem way to do it, and there's a solution way of accomplishing these issues. The problem person focuses on, the things that are in my way. I can't talk to this individual. I don't like this individual. I can't relate to this individual. We have nothing in common. It's always the negative, you see? The person that looks at the problem always finds those negative things that stand in the way that impede progress. You're going to run into it if you haven't already. The solution-oriented person is going to be a proactive individual. They're going to find the creative things, the things words that help them find the path to get to where they want to go. Things that I need to change either in myself or the way that I present myself to make things I want to happen. Words such as the appropriate time to talk to someone, the appropriate atmosphere in which to address each other. What can I do to help? What are issues that I can move out of our way? Things like that. Those are the solution-oriented issues that we need to focus on, particularly as leaders and commanders. We don't do enough of that in our daily lives, I believe. I'm guilty myself. I'm a newspaper and news freak. They can have the news on in the house could be on fire. And Mel will be sitting there watching Tom Brokaw. You know? I can hear a song on the radio. The kids could be screaming for help in the other room. If it's a song that I hadn't heard in a while, I will be so focused in on it. And it's the other thing. Couldn't know the words from Adam, but hear it one time. Know the words. Because it matters to me. And I think what we should do as individuals and as commanders is to understand that those that we supervise, this agency that we're sworn to be a part of, the citizens of the state that we're sworn to protect, they should matter just as much. And that we do not lose our focus in doing so. There are going to be times when it happens. Oh, I know. I know. So what I ask is that occasionally you find that place where you can focus on what really matters, to get you there, to make you a success, thereby making this agency a success. Think about your focus today, okay? And I ask all of you to think about your focus as well. That's type of thing that's always on my mind, my heart, and I hope it's of some benefit to each and every one of you. These men and women have done an extraordinary thing to be promoted and honored here today. And everyone here to congratulate you and wish you the best. And for you, hopefully it demonstrates your focus. Without further ado, we'll do your promotions and certificates. Read the Bible. New sergeant. Not yet, right? He's with you today, right? You both? Great. Congratulations to you. Steve Conner. Steve, I think we're missing your certificate here. We'll get anybody with you here today? Wave your hand, Dolores. Hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. Jeff, good. He's with you today.
My lovely wife, my 2 sons,
Wave your hands, everyone. Sorry. Hi.
my mother and father there, and my youngest brother.
And this guy from fruit school. That's right. Congratulations to you guys. Thank you all for being here too. Anthony Hopkins, welcome. This guy. Congratulations to your mom. Oh, how's everyone? Congratulations to you guys. Very proud of you. Eric Macy. He's a telecom operator too. Wave your hand. Thank you all for being here. We're very glad that you're able to join us today. Congratulations. Brian Malden. I don't know how many times I've met this Brian. We're good today.
My wife, Laura.
Hi, Lori. Congratulations to you guys. There's that twin brother too. I think he's better looking than I don't know what's wrong. I'm the new first sergeant for us. Congratulations to you. Who's with you today?
My mother,
Gosh, welcome everyone.
my 3 brothers,
Thank you.
husband.
Yes. Thank you all for being here. Very proud. Congratulations to you. Judy Meyer. Judy's a telecom specialist for us. Hi, Judy. All right. Anybody with you today?
Yeah, I have my husband George
George?
and my son Andrew.
Hi.
Firefighter service.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. That's great. That's great. That's a great service to be in. Thank you all for being here. Bill Parker. Bill Parker's a new lieutenant for us. Who's with you today, Bill?
My wife and my grandma. Oh, I mean my mom. Sorry.
Hi, Mom. We'll take care of it. Congratulations. Todd Ringo. Hi, Todd. Doing that. He's with you today. And I wanted today, and really you don't know, Todd is also a writer. Is it for the paper down inside? He does a real nice article. He answers questions and gives comment about law enforcement in the Indiana State Police. I read it all the time. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Congratulations to you. Brad Stiller. Brad? Oh, sorry about that, Mark. Congratulations to you guys. Miss West Sergeant folks, right? She was with you today.
My wife and son,
Wave your hands, sir. Oh, okay. Oh, he's taking pictures. Hi, Dad.
grandmother,
Grandma.
father, and stepfather.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Thank you all for being here. We're proud of you guys. Smithers. Awesome. So, where you at? Indianapolis. Welcome. Who's with you?
My wife Karen.
Hi, Karen. How are you? Big guy, huh? Congratulations. You're very proud of you. Very proud of you. We'll have some opportunity to take some photos and chat a little bit. We have some refreshments and goodies outside. Chance to meet all our commanders here too. I hope you take the opportunity to do that. You know, just one last thing before I party. One thing we don't give a great deal of credit to, we probably don't talk about it enough in this agency. It's the hundreds of civilians that work with the state police who are as much a part of the uniform as any of us that drive cars and have a badge. For all the civilians, I know some are along the wall, civilians for the agency, can you please stand up? I'd like to recognize you. There's quite a few along the wall. Thank you all so very, very much.
At this time, Chaplain Dodd will lead us in the benediction. Chaplain Dodd, please stand.
Oh Lord, today has been a very special time of celebration and joy to recognize the special accomplishments of these men and women by their promotion and special recognition. We would ask that you continue to watch over and protect these who come this day as they serve the people of this state in the Indiana State Police. Now, Father, we ask that you might send your blessings to be with each one who is gathered here this day and send us forth in your peace. We would pray in Christ's name, our Lord. Amen.
This will conclude our ceremony. Thank you very much.
At a very nice restaurant.
Anybody else with us?
And he said, we're all going to do it. He said, we're going to do all things. We didn't forget that. And I signed a contract with the church that we are part-time. Stay right. They get both jobs. It's just tiring. Like one job. There we go.
Which one you get up? Coordinate the pictures. Okay. Try.
Oh, you're down there.
Make it bracket, right?
He's used to
They're behind Ken like they're in line.
I'm sorry, she's really practicing. She fell practicing.
Everybody, come on. Everybody.
Yeah, I knew that. Colonel?
There you go. I need that. Mike, move in. There you go.
You want your certificate now? Grant?
Max, come on, Max. Come on, Max. Yeah, that's a picture without you, Max.
Yeah, take a look. Now we should have it. Been a while since I've seen you. I used to teach school.
Get everybody. Yeah, now we get everyone in. Come on, guys, come on. They'll take a picture for you. They'll take a picture for you. He's got it in the back. Oh, I can't stand too long. We'll put you up here. We'll put you right there. Oh, my goodness. It's all right.
We got a lot of hands here today.
Yes, we do.
Oh, he's brave. Wheeler behind you? Not good.
Gun was still holstered, so that's why I don't say.
Yep, we're right.
Hold it.
Stand it.
You know what? I was thinking about it the other night. Him and they had a program on TV. Oh, there was sports going on the other night. And my wife said, I don't remember who it was. What is this soprano talking about? And she said, listen, that boy don't look like mom.
Thank you.